Ladies and gentlemen, so today we're going to be going over all of the tips, the tricks, the best champions, and need-to-know information for the brand new Captain Marvel's Combat Clash, a super fun challenge, which, you know, you're going to have a great time in, I would assume. So anyway, to help assist us today, we have a bit of a written guide as well, which I'll leave a link to it in the description and also the comment section below. So we've got important notes, we've got building your team, and we've got some of the best champion recommendations for some of the most annoying matchups here. So anyway, let's preface this by talking about kind of the need-to-know information, the important stuff. And the first thing to know is that, comparatively speaking, this is just one of the most annoying, difficult, arguably BS challenges that has ever come to Marvel Contest of Champions. So, you know, prepare for that, man, mentally. Also, this follows the Champions Clash star, where you need to do Chapter 2 100% in one run. So you need to do all 6 of the paths and also the final boss. There's no way to take it kind of one path at a time there. Also, in terms of like pre-requirements as well, if you haven't already done Act 5 100% and are not doing 100% uncollected every single month, Chapter 2 like probably isn't for you. Like, it's a fair bit more difficult than both of those things. So if you know you're not at that level, you probably don't even want to attempt Chapter 2. It's probably going to be a bit of a waste of your time, and you probably want to focus on, you know, getting Act 5 and 100% uncollected done instead. Rogue as well, to prepare, is a bit of a cash grab clown fiesta fight. There is so much unstoppable, man. The combination of Brawl and also the aspect of War Note just makes it such a stupid fight at so many points, so just prepare for that as well. And the aim of the game, because there is a global aspect of War Note, is to zerg everything down super fast. So max boost if you chuck on a 30% boost, you know, full attack boost, full attack, full health boost as well, are very useful. Also, the suicide masteries are incredibly useful with the right champions. Most of the runs that I've seen, you know, having 0 deaths in this challenge have been with a Corvus or Ghost that's fully maxed out, with suicides as well and boosts, or if you have a lot of potions as well. Using other characters like can be quite beneficial if you do have kind of an overflow of those like 3 crystals or want to farm them out in Realm Legends there. Also, with certain champions, the Heimball synergy can be a bit of a helpful cheat death there in some scenarios if you've got room on your team. Finally, unless you've got a maxed out 5-star Corvus or Ghost, or have been very lucky and pulled a 6-star one, you want to expect to die like a fair bit in this challenge, man, and prepare to spend a lot of units, have a big stack of revives. So ideally, for somebody that's kind of at the level to do this and you've done Act 5 100%, you probably want to budget anywhere between 600 to 2,000 units worth of revives, but obviously there are quite a few factors that will depend on this, like your skill level, your roster, what boost you're running, whether you're running suicide masteries or not. So, you know, like, figure out like roughly how much you want to budget. But again, this is active for a couple of weeks, so you've got no rush to do it in the next week or so. You can save up and take your time and do it in the last week. So just important to keep in mind there. Next up, we're going to talk about building your team. So keep in mind that Iron Man, Infinity War, and Rogue are really the 2 big problems for a lot of players when it comes to this challenge, and the 2 most annoying fights. But the first thing you want in any team for this challenge is ideally a way to completely cheese the Kamala Khan, because Awakened Ronin or Morningstar just make the fight so incredibly trivial. When I did my run personally, I used a maxed out 4-star Morningstar, but in hindsight I should have used Ronin, man. Ronin is so easy. You get to a special one, there's the resistor node, but you do need him awakened for the additional stun duration. So yeah, Awakened Ronin just makes Kamala complete face roll, and you just auto win those fights. Even a 3-star one will work, but ideally you want to use a 4 or 5-star awakened one, just because especially when you get to those stacked Kamalas, they're going to be hitting very hard into your block and parry as well. So yeah, you want to use ideally a 4-star one for safety, but a maxed out 3-star, if you're playing pretty sharp, pretty quick, can work as well. And then number 2, you want to make sure you've got a champion that can counter Iron Man Infinity War. Number 3, you want to make sure you got a champion that can counter Rogue. And then spots 4 and 5 are a little bit open, so you can pretty much bring whatever here, but ideally you want to think about like 3 different things when picking champions in these spots. So you've got a Synergy Champion, like an additional option for Rogue, or maybe if you want to like load up on additional options to make kind of like team revives a little bit more valuable if you don't have a super good option, or a good matchup for Black Widows. Maybe make that fight fight a little bit easier. And then number 5, Synergy Champion, second rogue option, or a good matchup for Miss Marvel. But you really don't need to worry about Miss Marvel, man. Comparatively, she is such a face roll fight in comparison to some of the other stuff that you're dealing with. Now that we've covered the important need-to-know information before you start, and also how to build your team, let's talk about all the nodes and fights that you're going to be dealing with. So the first thing is the global nodes. There are 2 very important ones here. First off, you've got aggressive, so the opponents very often are going to be coming at you. You know, very aggressive play style, don't often block. So this is one of the things that attributes to making the rogue fight a little bit more tricky there. And also the absolutely fun and interactive node everybody loves called Aspect of War, which means for the first 50 seconds of the fight, your block proficiency is going to decay to 0, and once you hit 50 seconds, the defender is going to be completely unblockable, and that's the reason why you want to, you know, finish the fight so fast there. And also, whenever the defender fires off a special attack, they are going to be unstoppable for 6 seconds. So yeah, this is a really, really horrible combo, mainly in the Iron Man, Infinity War, and Rogue fights, but also annoying in some of the other fights as well. So let's have a look at some of the individual nodes. So really, the first Miss Marvel is so incredibly straightforward in comparison to everything else. So she's going to obviously have the Aspect of War there, but you're locked at Special 1. She's got Special 1 bias, and all her special attacks are unblockable. So yeah, you've just got to nuke her down, you know, be prepared for Aspect of War, but pretty much, you know, most champions at kind of rank 4, rank 5 that have decent damage output can easily kill her before there. Some really good options for this fight are like, you know, Corvus Glaive, like if you use Captain America Infinity War and just spam heavy attacks. If you use Domino, if you got the Flaming Trinity, that absolutely decimates, but again, she's not really a huge amount to worry about there. The second fight is this wonderfully fun Iron Man Infinity War, and probably the most noteworthy thing about this fight specifically is the Fisticuffs node, which means that neither champion can activate buffs or debuffs for the first 10 seconds of the fight. And if you're bringing Corvus Glaive and a lot of other champions that are really in the top tier, this is important to keep in mind, because Corvus Glaive is not going to be able to get his charges at the start of the fight. However, if you are bringing Corvus Glaive, a very important thing to note is that you will want to fight the very first Iron Man Infinity War if you're bringing Corvus, just to get the tech charge and also the Avengers charge, and also ideally the auto block charge, because if you're lucky, you know, you can get the 3 charges, and Corvus is one of the best options for Ghost, which we're going to talk about in a bit. So yeah, the Iron Man Infinity War, he definitely sucks a little bit, but when it comes to some of the top options, let's just quickly get up the sheet again. So personally, I used Hyperion for this Iron Man Infinity War, a maxed out version in my run. I got every single one of the Iron Man Infinity Wars down without dying at all. Hyperion is such a great matchup for this. You want to, you know, ideally get him stunned or have like a few incinerates on, or use the special 3 as soon as he's out of armor when he's like low percentage as well. Hyperion just absolutely destroys. Ghost is insane as well with that special 2. You can rinse him down, especially if you got the Quantum Trinity to kind of jack up that damage a little bit more. So Corvus, you know, if you've got a really pimped out 5 or 6 star version, can work, but even if you're bringing a 4-star version of Corvus like I did for my run, you want to make sure you bring him to the first one. But yeah, again, for some of the later ones, man, he's not going to be that great at all. Aegon has the ability to penetrate through blocks, so he can be quite good for this challenge, man. And Legacy Art Play, a Russian Marvel Contest of Champions YouTuber, actually uploaded such an exceptional run of this challenge with a fully maxed out 5-star Aegon. So yeah, that's really cool to watch. But yeah, you need Aegon Awakened and used on every fight to be ideal, and also used with the Heimdall synergy as well for some interesting interactions, which if you watch that video, you're going to see. And then we got Stark Spidey as well, so Stark Spidey, ideally with the Blade synergy if you're going to bring Stark, just because you want that kind of big burst of damage. And again, you can use Blade for, you know, the initial Miss Marvel, and maybe also Black Widow, although he's not the absolute best matchup for her, but he'll get the job done. Then also like Captain America Infinity War, you can, you know, just spam those dank heavy attacks there, and Void, kind of ideally Awakened for kind of that very nice debuff damage to help you get through that final bit. So those are some of the top options I've seen. Again, there are probably other champions outside of the list that work as well. I think these are some of the most efficient ones that I've physically seen and tested out myself. But then we get to probably the worst fight for a lot of people, which is Rogue. So Rogue, you have, again, the aspect of War Note. You also have Brawl, so every 10 seconds, both champions gain Unstoppable passive for 5 seconds. So that's really fun, man. It pretty much means via the Brawl node, she's going to be unstoppable after 10 seconds into the fight, half of the time. So yeah, that really, really sucks to deal with. We also have Kinetic Transference, which means blocked attacks cause the defender to gain 10% power. So basically, if you block any attack, she's going to gain huge amounts of power, which again, with the aspect of War Note, sucks. And also Invade, which means both champions have 100% block penetration and 300% increased attack when hitting into the block. And also Mighty Charge, so while she performs a medium dash attack, she's immune to debuffs, which means she cannot be parried off a medium there. So yeah, Rogue is just such a very, very annoying fight to deal with. There is so much unstoppable. The tactic that I used on my main account, which I kind of found the safest way to play this. I did it in like a total of... I died once on every single rogue with my 4-star Corvus. I just went in and I nuked the crap out of her with Corvus. That was my plan there. However, if you're very, very savvy and patient, you might be able to get away with kind of the Nightcrawler switch trick, and we'll kind of look at some Red Hulk gameplay, because Red Hulk actually is a pretty interesting option there. But yeah, to talk about some of the top options for kind of dealing with this, because it's better if we analyze some gameplay of how to hit into Rogue's block, but it's a little bit difficult as well because of the aggressive node. You know, she's always going to come at you most of the time. But Rogue, you really want Corvus. Corvus is sick. Ghost as well. If you're a very, very skilled Ghost player, ideally if you have her awakened ability, you know, you can just stand there invisible, get a ton of power, hit into her when you have an opportunity, and then absolutely smack her up with that special too. Dork Lessons has a very good video on playing Quake against Rogue. However, you need to be confident at fighting with Quake using kind of the no parry stun immune style, which is difficult to pull off. If you've a stack Starkanaut Spider-Man kind of works similarly to a 4-star Corvus. You can just go and absolutely nuke there. So yeah, that's not too bad. Also, Aegon can work very, very well with the Heimdall synergy, and also because he has block penetration. But if with the Heimdall synergy, right, if you like take a load of hits and then die and get the 6 stacks of Furies and then retaliate, you can deal some mega damage with Aegon. And again, Legacy Artplay has a great Aegon gameplay video, which can be a good way to kind of visually learn if you're looking forward to seeing that. And then we've got Red Hulk. So Red Hulk actually works quite well, especially if you got him awakened and with the Massacre synergy, because the heat charges do some very, very nice damage when they penetrate block as well, so he turns out to be quite nice there. And also a stacked Yondu, but only if you're really lucky with being able to get Rogue to block. And again, she's a little bit tricky, but it's mainly kind of the Nightcrawler switch method, kind of those deep evades, and hoping that she holds block for a while. But again, I've had such a variance in my testing and practice. And let's go ahead and just quickly jump back, and then we've got 2 more fights remaining. So we've got the Black Widow. So first off, Black Widow is immune to ability accuracy modification. So yeah, her evade chance can't be reduced via ability accuracy reduction, but if you've got Corvus and you bring the Proxima synergy, you can True Strike her to counter the evade there. Also, it's important to know that for each debuff she has, she's going to gain more attack, more power gain rate, so you probably don't want to bring really heavy debuff champions here. So just kind of keep that in mind. And also, yeah, bleed ones do count twice for this effect, so you know, power gain, more attack, especially on an aspect of War Node, is going to get you wrecked very, very easily there. My Domino in my run personally just dealt with all these Black Widows really, really well. Also, whenever she uses a special attack, you're going to get power drained a little bit and take a little bit of damage as well, which is super fun, but it's not like a huge thing to worry about in all fairness there. And finally, she has True Strike as well, which doesn't matter, you know, a huge amount for the most part. So that Black Widow, she's a little bit annoying to deal with, but personally, the Iron Man, Infinity War, and Rogue, when it comes to team building, are two options of higher priority. But make sure you've kind of got it in mind which champion that you'd like to use for Black Widow when it comes to it. But again, you know, any kind of solid damage dealer will work quite nicely there. And finally, the final Kamala Khan. She has Spite, but she also has Breakthrough and Resistor, which are the 2 really most important ones there. So you get, you know, bring in your Ronin. That's all I'm saying, lads. Get to Special 1, infinitely stun, easy game, easy life. I definitely wish I would have brought Ronan for my run because it would have saved me a couple of revives there. And then finally we got the final Captain Marvel boss, who is, you know, pretty much an absolute joke, just very, very easy to deal with. Like, a little bit more of a dangerous Miss Marvel, but by this point in time, man, you're just going to absolutely slap this gal up. She's got Aspect of Evolution, Special 1 bias, she also has Power Gain, but again, just, you know, bring a good heavy attack champion, or just, you know, throw whatever you've got at her and she's going to die fairly easily there for the most part. Now, just to show the rogue fight a couple of times of Red Hulk, because he's a fairly interesting option for it if you've got a stacked version. Again, ideally you do want him awakened because you'll get even more damage out of this fight, especially when hitting into the block. But I do mess up a little bit at the start here. We get trapped a little bit against the wall, so this is probably, you know, one of the worst starts really you can have to this matchup. We get a medium to recover it, but now I'm trying to just kind of dodge rogue so I can get it to dash back and hold block. But as you can see, there is just, you know, so much super fun unstoppable to deal with. Fire off the Special 1, get those heat charges up. We've got another unstoppable, so we're going to have to wait about 5 seconds just for this to go. Again, this fight can seem very, very fun, but luckily she's holding block, and you can see, man, that Red Hulk damage is so good. This is without any boost at all, so yeah, very, very nice stuff there, and just absolutely melts her in the end. So if you can play really, really well with Red Hulk, it actually turns out quite well. He's a pretty good character, but ideally, like, Corvus just absolutely shreds through this block, man, if you can get those crits in. This is Red Hulk as well, cleaning up one more rogue. So, you know, if you do want to bring in the Flaming Trinity, if you're one of those die-hard players that's got like a stacked out version of Red Hulk, Domino, and also Massacre, it can work really, really well. But, you know, you need to get a little bit lucky and really, really hope the rogue kind of dashes back. But again, this can be a little bit complicated, a little bit tricky to do just because of the aggressive node. She will often be coming at you very, very hard. But, you know, when it works, man, it works all right. So, yeah, again, Corvus is a little bit of a better option, but just to show kind of another alternate option I haven't seen people talking about, Red Hulk, man, he's pretty sweet. To end this video, we're going to have a quick look at the Ronan versus Kamala Khan matchup here, again with the resistor node and also the breakthrough node as well, which means, you know, with every hit you're just dealing more and more damage. Even with a 3-star Ronan, it doesn't make this fight super long because your damage is just getting ramped up and up and up, and once you're above like about 40 stacks of that breakthrough node, you know, your damage is just so incredibly crazy. But you can see here, one Special 1, look at that stun, mate. She's not doing anything for the rest of the fight. Then you just abuse her in the corner, and it's easy game, easy life. You'll also notice here, on the 3-star Ronan, we took about 25% of his health from those 2 initial parries there. So again, if you're kind of boosted up, and you're going for the later Kamala Khans, there should be like plenty of health on a 3-star Ronan to actually take out and survive the damage from the parries on the later ones. I guess one thing to potentially note here as well is that you will need to, you know, have a few health potions probably for some of the later Kamala Khans if you are bringing in a 3-star version of Ronan. If you got the 4 or 5-star one, you know, they might be able to last till the end of the quest, but yeah, you know, just make sure you have a few health potions for Ronan there. Alright, so that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy today's video guide, feel free to smash that like button. Let me know who you used in the comments section below. Aside from that, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.